Africa is changing, but beneath all the headlines, political trends, and technological revolutions, there is a deeper story. A story written in the soil. A story about land, about potential, about food, and most importantly, about wealth waiting to be unlocked. At Kann Media Group, we tell the story that matters. The stories that shake assumptions, open eyes, and reveal hidden opportunities across African continent. And today, we uncover one of the biggest opportunities of all: how African agriculture could create more than $350 billion in new wealth. Yes, $350 billion. Not through oil, not through gold, not through foreign aid or loans, but through the oldest industry known to humanity, agriculture. Now, this is not the romantic image of farming we grew up with. Old men holding hoes, sweating under the sun, scrapping the ground for survival. No, this is a new era. A modern agricultural revolution driven by technology, innovation, agribusiness, processing, export markets, and youth entrepreneurship. Africa has 60% of the world's uncultivated arable land, a population of over 1.4 billion people, and the fastest growing youth workforce on earth. Yet, the continent spends over $50 billion every single year importing food it could grow and process itself. So the question becomes, what would happen if Africa finally unlocked the true value of its soil? What if agriculture stopped being associated with poverty and became a symbol of wealth, prosperity, and innovation? Today, Kann Media Group breaks it down: the numbers, the opportunities, the challenges, the solutions, and the role of millions of African youths who stand at the center of this transformation. Africa is blessed with land, not just any land, but some of the most fertile soils on the planet. From the rich volcanic soils of the Great Lakes region, to the expansive savannas of West Africa, to the river-fed plains of the Nile Basin, Africa's agriculture potential is unmatched. Yet, here is the paradox. Most African countries are net food importers. Nigeria imports rice and wheat. Ghana imports tomatoes. Angola imports chicken. Kenya imports sugar. Senegal imports onions. And many countries import milk, fruit juices, pasta, vegetable oil, and even bottled water. How can a continent with so much land and so many young farmers still rely on foreign countries to feed its people? The answer lies not in the soil, but in the system. The $350 billion opportunity in African agriculture does not come from just planting more crops. It comes from three major pillars. Pillar 1, import substitution. Africa imports $11 billion in wheat, $10 billion in rice, $8 billion in vegetable oils, $6 billion in sugar, $4 billion in dairy, $3 billion in frozen fish, and billions more in refined foods. But over 70% of these imports can be grown locally. By replacing just half of food imports with local production, Africa could save and generate over $100 billion annually. Money that will stay within African economies, create jobs, build industries, and strengthen currencies. Imagine Nigeria producing its own rice at scale. Imagine Ghana processing its own tomatoes. Imagine Kenya producing its own sugar and milk competitively. Imagine Angola raising its own poultry instead of importing frozen chicken. Pillar 2, value addition and AfCFTA export markets. Here is the truth. Raw crops don't make nations rich. Processing does. Africa exports raw materials and buys back processed products at 5 to 20 times the price. Examples: cocoa, chocolate, raw cashew, packaged cashew nuts, pineapple, juice concentrate, mango, dried fruit, cotton, textiles, cassava, flour, ethanol, and starch, palm fruit, refined oil, and cosmetics, tea and coffee, branded products. Africa currently captures only a tiny fraction of its value chain. If African countries invest heavily in processing, regional trade, packaging, and branding, agriculture can unlock an additional $150 billion in wealth. This is where the Africa Continental Free Trade Area (AfCFTA) becomes vital. With 1.4 billion consumers, free movement of goods, and reduced tariffs, Africa could build its own internal market, a market that keeps profits circulating within the continent. Pillar 3. Agri-tech, smart farming and digital agriculture. Africa is no longer about brute force, it is about technology. Drones for crop mapping, satellite data for weather prediction, mobile apps for extension services, smart irrigation systems, hydroponics and vertical farming, mobile-based micro-insurance, agri-fintech for loans, digital marketplaces connecting farmers to buyers. Africa's agri-tech ecosystem is growing rapidly, attracting millions in investment. If scaled across the continent, agriculture technology could add up to $40 to $50 billion in new economic value. Across the continent, examples of agricultural transformation are emerging. Rwanda. Its horticulture exports have skyrocketed due to greenhouse innovations and cold storage facilities. Ethiopia, now one of the world's leading exporters of flowers, employing hundreds of thousands of youth. Kenya, a global powerhouse in tea and fresh vegetables, with tech-driven supply chains. Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire, controlling 60% of global cocoa output and beginning to negotiate better global prices. Nigeria, improving rice production to reduce imports and building massive processing factories. Morocco and Egypt, leading Africa in large-scale irrigation systems and agro-industrial zones. These examples prove a powerful point. Africa's agricultural transformation is not a dream. It is already happening. It just needs to happen bigger, faster, and everywhere. Of course, the road is not smooth. Several challenges still stand between Africa and its $350 billion agricultural future. Poor rural roads that limit market access, poor harvest losses reaching up to 40%, lack of storage facilities, insufficient financing for farmers, low mechanization, poor quality control for export markets, climate vulnerability, inconsistent government policies. But here is the truth. None of these challenges are permanent. They are problems that can be solved, and many African nations are solving them step by step. Africa has the youngest population in the world, and that is not a demographic challenge. It is an economic weapon. For too long, young Africans have been told that agriculture is a last resort, that it is not prestigious, that it is dirty and stressful, that it is the work of old people. But the new agriculture is tech-driven, profitable, scalable, export-ready, data-powered, automated, and global. The new farmer is a drone pilot, a packaging designer, a greenhouse engineer, a logistics startup founder, a branding expert, a food scientist, a processor, a digital marketer, a supply chain manager, an exporter. Young people across Africa are already building multi-million-dollar agribusinesses in poultry, catfish, mushrooms, vegetables, spices, cassava processing, honey production, agri-tech software, and more. Agriculture is no longer a fallback option. It is the foundation of Africa's next generation of millionaires.
It was used, it led to a broccoli crop becoming 30% larger, despite using 25% less water.
To fully unlock the agricultural wealth potential, Africa must expand irrigation and mechanization, invest massively in agro-processing, provide youth-friendly agricultural financing, adopt digital agriculture infrastructure, strengthen regional food trade, build storage, silos, and cold chains, promote high-value crops for export, improve land policy systems, address climate resilience, use technology to reduce waste, and increase yields. These solutions are not theories. They are proven systems that have worked in Asia, South America, and parts of Africa. And now the message comes directly to you, the young African watching this. Agriculture is not the past, it is the future. It is technology, entrepreneurship, innovation, and global opportunity.
And plant stress between
it is
irrigation
$1 trillion space where the boat will rise.
Across a wide range
you are the generation that will redefine the meaning of wealth in Africa. You are the generation that will turn farmlands into factories, crops into brands, ideas into industries, and agriculture into prosperity. Africa does not need to wait for aid. Africa does not need permission to rise.
Be hard to determine
Africa does not need to imitate anyone. Africa needs you, your creativity, your energy, your innovation, your ambition. At Kann Media Group, we believe in the power of African youth. We believe in your vision. We believe in your future. And we continue to bring you the knowledge, insights, and stories that push you forward. So if you believe that Africa's rise will come from its source, if you believe in youth-led transformation, if you want to be part of a movement, subscribe, share, join the community, because the future of Africa is rooted in the ground beneath our feet, and the hands that will transform it belongs to you.